Okay, so good morning. Today's daf is daf Lamed Zayin of Masechet Bava Metzia. Let me share my screen and we'll get started. So, uh, in the Mishnah on Lamed Heyam Abet, we had learned that we had the following debate that regarding a case in which A rents a cow to B. So again, I'll rent the cow to Stan. Stan will rent the cow to Ken. And now the cow dies of natural causes. I'm sorry, Stan will lend the cow to Ken. And so because Ken is the borrower, and a borrower is liable for death by natural causes, the Tanakama says B swears because he's a renter. He's going to be exempt. So Stan's going to swear and be exempt. And Ken will pay. And in fact, because Ken borrowed it from Stan, Ken pays Stan. Yossi, on the other hand, no. We're not going to let Stan benefit with my cow. We're going to say that Ken pays me. And so because we don't want Stan to benefit with my cow. So we spent a lot of time over the last 2 days analyzing the Tanakama's position. Now, as we pick up on the first of the wide lines on Lamed Vav and Bet, we're going to address Rabbi Yossi. And we're going to see that, in fact, the halacha is like Rabbi Yossi. So let's jump right in. So I'm a Rabbi Yossi, Ketzad Hala, Osas Chora B'faraso. How could this guy, namely Stan, do business with the cow that belongs to me? So, so that's the question. So I'm Rabbi Yehuda. So that was the quote from the Mishnah. And I'm Rabbi Yehuda Amar Shmuel. So Rabbi Yehuda said in the name of Shmuel, halacha to Rabbi Yossi, that the halacha is in fact like Rabbi Yossi. So now Amrle Rav Shmuel, that's obviously different than Shmuel. Rav Shmuel Bar Yehuda says to Rabbi Yehuda, he asked Rabbi Yehuda who made that last statement, Amrat Lan Mishmei de Shmuel, Amrat Lan Mishmei de Shmuel. So you said in the name of Shmuel, Rabbi Yossi, you said that not only did Rabbi Yossi argue about the case in our Mishnah where A rents to B and B lends to C, but Af Barishona, you said that even he argues about the first case, meaning the first Mishnah in this chapter. And if you don't remember, I'll remind you, the first Mishnah in this chapter dealt with, because I didn't remember myself, frankly, I dealt with the case of somebody who didn't want to swear and therefore paid the amount. And so the question is, we had said in that Mishnah that the person who, again, I borrowed something from Stan. It died of natural. I rented something from Stan. It died of natural causes. So as a result, if I swear that it died of natural causes, I will not be liable. But I don't want to swear because I don't want to even take God's name, not in vain, but I don't want to make any kind of oath unnecessarily. And so as a result, because I have now decided that I don't want, so I paid Stan for having rented his cow, even though I really shouldn't be liable for him. And we said in that first Mishnah that that if in fact now, I'm sorry, I said that it was that it died of natural causes, but let's say that it was stolen, and I didn't do it, and I was very careful about it, and so as a result, I would not be liable in that situation. And so now that it was stolen, the question is we found the thief, and so now the thief is paying double. So who gets that extra payment? Do I get it or does Stan get it? And the answer is that we gave in that Mishnah is that I get it. But now we're saying that actually maybe Rabbi Yossi even disagrees with that conclusion. And he would say the same theory as Rashi explains for us. Af Barishona, top Rashi on Lamed Zayin Amud Aleph, 37a1, the top Rashi, the Shilem, when it came to paying, the low Ratzali Shava, and because the person didn't want to swear. This is the theory that Rabbi Yossi is going to say. So how could the person who was watching the item put into his pocket Phelo Shelzeh, the double payment that Stan is supposed to get. How am I going to put in my pocket? Now, yes, I paid Stan for his cow, but why do I get to put into my pocket the double payment that really should have gone to Stan in the first place? So yes, I'll get paid back when the thief actually pays the principal amount and the double payment. I'll get paid back for the amount that I gave to Stan, but Stan should still get the double payment because he's the original owner. And so now, so let's go back. And now, what's the question that Rav Shmuel Bar Yehuda is asking? He's asking that you, Rav Yehuda, told me that the Rabbi Yossi also argued about the case in our first Mishnah. So halacha kamoso, ayin halacha kamoso. So, and you said that the halacha is like Rabbi Yossi. So, is the halacha like him also in that argument in our first in that first Mishnah? So it would essentially mean that a lot of the learning that we've been doing over the last week or so has been undermined by the fact that the halacha is not like the positions that we've been analyzing. So let's find out. So Amar Lei Chalak Hayir Rabbi Yosef Aparishona, the halacha kamoso Aparishona. So Rabbi Yehuda responded, yes. In fact, the halacha is not only that it's not only true that Rabbi Yossi also argued in that first case where one person pays even though they didn't need to, and therefore now they're going to get the payment for the double payment. But the halacha is like that as well. That Rabbi Yossi disagrees even in that first case and says, no, we're not going to give the person who paid the double payment. The double payment goes to the original owner. And Idmar Nami, we've got another statement that makes it clear that this is the fact the case. So Amar Rabbi Elazar, Rabbi Yossi Aparishona, Halacha Kamoso Aparishona. That Rabbi Yossi disagreed and says again that the first person, the person who paid rather than swore, does not in fact get to keep the double payment, but rather it goes back to the original owner. And that's the halacha. But Rabbi Yochanan says, Amar Moda Haya Rabbi Yossi Barishona. No, Rabbi Yossi actually agrees in the first case. He does not disagree. Shekvar Shilem, because the person already paid. So as Rashi says, second line of Rashi on Lamed Zayin Amud Aleph, Shekvar Shilem Kodem Shenimtza Haganav. He paid before we found the thief, and thereby the Kana Kefil, he acquired the double payment. That as we said originally, that it was with this possible intention that he would get the double payment that he made this deal. And so as that he took on the responsibility of watching the cow. So as a result, that that's why we're going to say that in this case. So now the Gemara notes the fact that that's okay. That notes that in fact Rabbi Yossi just said, or that Rabbi Yochanan just said that Rabbi Yossi was saying shekvar shilem, that he already paid. But we had learned something different. So shilem in lo shilem lo. You're going to tell me that only if he already paid, and if he didn't pay, it wouldn't be true. We had another statement in the name of Rabbi Yochanan. V'hamar Rabbi Chia bar Abba Amar Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Chia bar Abba said in the name of Rabbi Yochanan, Lo shilem mamish. And when we say that he didn't pay, when we say paid, we don't mean literally paid. Elokevin sha'amar hareini mishalim. Once he agrees to pay, that is sufficient to cause the transfer. Even though he did not pay. So we'll make those two statements of Rabbi Yochanan consistent. Moda haya Rabbi Yossi barishona shekvar amar hareini mishalim, because he already said, I shall pay. So the bottom line is that we have these two different versions of whether or not the halacha is like Rabbi Yossi in connection with the first Mishnah. But the bottom line is that it seems like everybody's agreeing that the halacha is like Rabbi Yossi according to the second Mishnah. And so as a result, when I rent my cow to Stan and Stan lends his cow to Ken, we get to the conclusion that Ken has wanted from the very beginning, which is that when Ken pays, he doesn't pay Stan, he pays me because I'm the one who lost the cow. Okay, So that is the conclusion of that Mishnah. And the next Mishnah deals with a thief and a watcher who forgets a key detail. So wonder what is that key detail that they forgot? It's going to be who they stole it from or who they took it from. So Amr
What
L'Shnayim.
is the conclusion regarding the first Mishnah? Do we hold like Rabbi Yossi or not?
So, I'm not 100% sure. It's not clear directly from, there's no a mishpah near mitzvah statement in connection with it. Let me go back to the first Mishnah and see whether it seems like um, uh, we do not hold like Rabbi Yossi. It seems like we hold like the Stam Mishnah. So it seems like Rabbi Yochanan is the way we go, but I'm not 100% sure. So it seems like the third, and that's of course how the Gemara seems to conclude. So there's a logic to the progression of the Gemara that in fact we end up with the final result that we ended up in the Gemara.
It seems that one could interpret when he says Shekavar Amar Areni Meshalem, one could say that even in the case where he said I will pay, then it's as if he paid, and therefore that would be the opinion. Then Rabbi Yossi would hold like in the first Mishnah, like he does in this Mishnah. Then maybe.
Yeah, that in fact, no. The point is that Rabbi Yossi would agree with the first Mishnah that if I say that I'm going to pay Stan, even though I may not be liable for paying Stan because I could swear, but I decide to pay, and then we catch the thief, we would say as long as I have told Stan that I'm going to pay him, then I would get the double payment, and Stan would not, because we treat it as if I have purchased the cow and thereby the rights to the double payment. So exactly. So if that's what you intended to say, that's exactly right.
I don't know if that's how. So who gets the payment then?
So the person who was watching the cow gets the payment because he has said that he's going to pay the original owner back the original amount.
So it seems like we do not hold like Rabbi Yossi in that case.
Well, no, we're saying that Rabbi Yossi agrees with the first Mishnah. That's the point that Rabbi Yochanan says. Moda haya Rabbi Yossi barishona. He agrees with the holding of the first Mishnah. So we do hold like Rabbi Yossi. It's just Rabbi Yossi agrees with that Mishnah. That was what was unclear. That was the thing that was unclear in the Gemara. That Rabbi Yehuda said that Rabbi Yossi disagrees also with the first Mishnah, as did Rabbi Elazar. But Rabbi Yochanan says that no, Rabbi Yossi agrees with the first Mishnah. Okay, so Amr L'Shnayim. So now we're going to deal with somebody who tells two people, Gazalti le'echa mikem maneh. I stole $100 from one of you. Ve'eni yodea eze mikem. But I don't know from which of you I stole. So that's case number one. Case number 1A.
Steinfeld says that that's roughly about a month's wages for a typical labor in Roman times.
Wow, that's a lot of money. Okay, so I've been using $100, so maybe we need to use $1,000. But okay, or a little bit more. So aviv shel echad mikem hifkid limaneh, or the person is now not a thief but a watcher, and he says in case 1B, he says the father of one of you put $100 into my hands to watch, and I don't know which one of yours fathers was the one who did it. So, boy, that's a tough situation to be in. But we say no sin lazemana v'lazemana. You have to give each of them. So if you forget who gave you the money, and you're responsible, shahoda mipiatzmo, because he's admitting on some part on his own. So that's case number one. Case number two, which may to you sound like it disagrees, and that will be part of what we'll be discussing today. So now we have a case where one of Stan and Mark, one of them gave me $100, and the other gave me $200. But now, now both Stan and Mark are claiming that they were the ones who gave me $200. So now what am I going to do? So now what do I do? According to the Tanakama, no sin l'zemana v'l'zemana. I have to give each of them 100 because I know that each of them get at least 100. And the rest, the last $100, that gets left over until Eliyahu comes, and Eliyahu can tell us who does it belong to. So I'm a Rabbi Yossi. Rabbi Yossi says that can't be. Im kain ma hafsid haramai. What did the tricker lose as a result of this? Ella hakoye munach achiyavo Eliyahu. Put all of the money, all $300 gets put aside, so that way whoever was lying gets punished as well, according to Rabbi Yossi. V'chein shnei chelim. And similarly, if we have two utensils, echad yafe maneh, ve'echad yafe elef zuz. So one's worth $100, one's worth $1,000. So zeh omer yafe shali, the one of you say the more expensive is mine. V'zeh omer yafe shali, and the other one says that the more expensive one is mine. So what do? So again, according to the Tanakama, no saying it's a katan le'echad man, I'm going to give the less expensive to one of you. The umitoch hagadol nosin demei katan l'sheni, and from the big one, I'm going to give the other one of you again the value of the little one. Now Rashi actually here says something really remarkable. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines down, narrow lines of Rashi. First word on the line, hagadol yishberenu. That actually I break the large vessel, the more expensive vessel, and I give a piece that's worth the value of the small piece. So that works very well if you're talking about a gold vessel or something where it's the base material is useful. But if you're talking about something that was just made out of constructed beautifully, then it becomes much more difficult, because you've essentially it'll be very hard to give that kind of value away. That's why others say that no, you sell it and you give the value of it. But in any event, that is what Rashi says. And the rest gets left again until Eliyahu comes. And guess what? Amar Rebbe Yossi, just as we had in the second case of our Mishnah, Rebbe Yossi says again, in this case, Im kain ma hesed haramai. What did the tricker lose? He didn't lose anything. Everything gets left over until Eliyahu comes. Okay, so that is our Mishnah. So the Gemara is now going to address the apparent internal contradiction of the first and the second cases. Because again, in the first case, I end up having to pay extra. And in the second case, same uncertainty, because I don't know which of you gave me 200 and which of you gave me 100. And I don't have to pay you both 200, or even give one of you 150, right? And that we're going to talk about that. Why don't we split? Actually, that we actually dealt with in the very beginning. If we go all the way back to the beginning of the Masechet, we actually asked the question because when we had the garment, we split it. They shared it exactly. So excellent question. And we said when we explained this Mishnah, we used this Mishnah all the way back there. I think it was on Gimel, Daf Gimel, that we said that here's the story. In the case where you and Mark both grabbed the garment at the same time, the truth may be that you both deserve 50%. Whereas in this case, there is no way that the truth is that you both deserve 150, because you admit that one of you gave 200 and the other one gave 100. So it's not the same kind of splitting. It's not potentially consistent with the facts. So that was the difference between that case and this case. But all right, so now Alma Misveka Mafkina Mamona. So what did we learn when I was uncertain about which one of you I stole from, or which one of you their father gave me $100 to watch? We ended up saying that I had to pay both of you, even though we're all uncertain. You don't know, I don't know, everybody's uncertain. So lo amrinan oke mamona b'cheskas mari, and we don't say that we leave the money even in a case of uncertainty where it was. So uraminhu. But 1 second. Listen to the second case of our Mishnah. The second case of our Mishnah seems to suggest the exact opposite. 2 people left money with a person. One person left 100, one person left 200. Both of them claim a 200. And we end up saying that Tanakama, the same person who said the first rule that I have to pay each of you $100 because I'm not sure which of you, says with respect to that same $100 that I have to leave it till Eliyahu comes to know which of you. So that seems to suggest we don't take money away from somebody who's uncertain. So how do we answer that? So Amarle, Pikadon Gezel Karamis. 1 second. The first case, I was a thief. If I'm a thief, you're going to ask me about a case where I'm a watcher? A watcher and a thief are completely different. Gezel to Avadisura, I did something wrong. Kanasura banan. The rabbis made a kanas against me. So as a result, I have to pay both of you. Tikadon de lo Avadisura, lo kanasua rabbanan. But 1 second, with the pikadon, with something that I'm watching, I didn't do anything wrong, and as a result, I'm not going to be penalized. So that's our first answer. Now, that's not where we end up, because you remember what case 1B was? Case 1B was I was saying I was a watcher, and I didn't remember which of your fathers gave me the money. So we're going to now raise that exact question. So
And why do you say it's a thief in the first case? The two people gave this person money. He doesn't remember which one gave him the money.
Look at the first word. Look at the third word of the Mishnah. The third word of the Mishnah. Amar l'shnayim gazalti le'echad mikem.
Oh, okay.
I stole 100. Okay. So now we're going to get to the 8th, not 10th, 11th word of the Mishnah. Oh, aviv shel echad mikem hifkidli. That's what we're going to ask right now. So that's what we're asking now. V'rami bikadon abikadon. 1 second. I can ask from our Mishnah a case of one deposit with another deposit and show that there's an inconsistency. And Rami Gazel, and you know what? I could show another inconsistency between the two stolen cases. So pikadon, not pikadon. So what's the question when it comes to one deposit with another deposit? The Katani ratio we said in the beginning of our Mishnah, again, case 1B of our Mishnah. Aviv shel echad mikem hivkid etzli money. One of your fathers gave me $100, and I don't know which one. And what did we say in that case? Nozim lezeman, I have to pay both of you. Uraminu, but listen to the second case. Ushnayim shehivkidu. In that case, we leave the $100 until Eliyahu comes. So why in the first case do I have to pay you both and I lose and I end up paying an extra $100? But in the second case, I don't pay the extra $100 at all. So it seems to be identical. And the Gemara agrees that it's identical. And therefore, we have to say that there's a distinction that isn't written into the Mishnah. Amarava, Reisha Nasa Kemi Shehivkid Lo Bishnas Krichut. That the first case is like a case of where two people deposited money at different times. Because by the very nature of one person giving me money at this particular time, the other person didn't give me money. And so as a result, each person, the only person who came to me was a unique person. In that situation, I have to remember who it was. I need to pay attention to the who. But Seifa, Nasa Kamisha Hivkido Lo Becherech Echad. But in the second case of our Mishnah, where you are both claiming that you gave me $200, we're dealing with you both gave me the money at the same time. So as a result, you knew that Mark was going to know that you were giving me 200, and Mark knew that you knew he was going to be giving me 200. And so as a result, there was a sense of trust between the two of you. And so as a result, in that situation, I don't need to worry, because the two of you clearly trust each other. So all I need to know is that one of you gave me 100 and one of you gave me 200. I don't need to worry about which of you was which, because the two of you clearly trust each other, because you came and were willing to show to one another how much you gave me. So that's the safer case. So so Nasa Kamisha of getting a little karachakad. The low have a lame in the maid, because in that case I don't have to check. Kigon to Afkidu Tarbayu Bahadi Hadadi Bechadzimna. Both of them gave it at one time. The Amr Lahu. Lo Adadi. You weren't makbid against one another. You didn't care that you gave it in front of the other. Ana Kapidna, and you want me to care? The point is that this case is effectively, you can imagine it like the following. The two of you get together, you put together your package of $300, and you say, David, would you watch the $300? So in that situation, clearly one of you put in $200 in that package, one of you put in $100 in that package, but I had nothing to do with that. That's what we're going to treat this second case like. And so as a result, that's why I'm not going to be liable for the extra $100.
In this instance, you're speaking about two people who know each other and trust each other.
Exactly.
Very often it could work just the opposite.
Well, if it was the opposite, then you would be obligated to say, listen, you would be obligated to say, listen, I don't want to give my money at the same time and show how much I'm giving to you in front of Mark. Okay. And so if you do that, then you're exactly right. Then the obligation goes back to me. And so if you give me $200 on Monday and Mark gives me $100 on Wednesday, and now I forget, we're back into the first case of the Mishnah. And guess what? I'm going to be responsible to give both of you $200. Exactly. Okay. So that's exactly right.
So what in this latter case, how does he know which, if he thinks they're trustworthy, how does he know to which one he should give the 200, to which one he should give the 100?
No, that's the Mishnah case. The Mishnah says, according to the Tanakhama, I give each of them 100 and the second 200 because they trusted one another. It's not me trusting them. I'm the watcher, but it's them trusting the two people who left me the item to be watched, the two owners. They trusted one another. And so as a result, the third $100 gets left until Eliyahu comes.
But why? Because if they each trust each other and one knows I gave 200 and the second one knows I gave 100.
Both of them are claiming that they're the one who gave 200. Both of them are claiming the 200. So even though they trusted one another, the bottom line is either one of them forgot, or we should say that the trust wasn't deserved. Okay, so the trust wasn't deserved. So that's the case that we're talking about. But if in fact one of them were to give me $200 on Monday and one of them were to give me $100 on Wednesday, and now I don't remember which of one of them gave me the money on Wednesday and which one of them gave me the money on Monday, and they both say that they are owed $200, well then it's tough luck on me and I need to pay both of them $200. Okay, so that
So
was
you do have to pay. So you don't leave 100 for Eliyahu and Navi. You have to give both of them 200.
Well, again, you have to be careful about the case. The question is did they give the money at the same time or not? If they gave the money at the same time, so then they show that they trusted one another. Mark, they could use you downstairs. So if they said that if they trusted one another, so then that's a situation where the money gets left until Eliyahu comes. But if they didn't trust one another, and then it would be on me, and it would be my responsibility to give each of them the $200 that they claim, because I would have forgotten, and that was my responsibility as the watcher. So it's important to note that there are two cases here. Okay, Ken? There's a case where the two people who are giving me things trust one another and give it to me together, and therefore I do not have the responsibility to remember how much each one of them gave me. And therefore, if they argue, the leftover money will be left for Eliyahu. And there's a case where they don't trust one another, and therefore they don't give it to me at the same time. And therefore I am responsible for remembering. And therefore, in that situation, if I forget, I do need to give both of them the full claim that they're making, because I don't remember and I'm responsible for not remembering.
Yeah, the second one that's easier to understand. It's the one where you're claiming that they trust each other, and you leave over 100 for Eliyahu and Navi. I mean, they trust. I would think also in that case, Kal V'chomer, you give both of them the amount that they claim they should have.
I don't understand. In the case, they only gave $300, Ken. So the point is that it's just like the case where they both came together, and it shows that they trusted one another. So instead of imagining them as each giving their own gift separately, it's more like they came together and gave me a single bundle of $300. And I never knew which one of them gave, how much each of them contributed to this bundle. Because they trusted one another, For me, it was one bundle. It was a bundle of $300. So one of them claims 200 and the other one claims 200. I don't care how you want to split it. Let you guys work it out. But I do know that each of you gave me at least 100. So here's the $100 and you fight over the third $100. But you trusted one another to make it a big pot of $300 that you gave me. So that's your responsibility. That's exactly
Well,
right.
then according in the way you've explained it now, let him the person who received the money, the
Watch.
recipient of the money, let him then put $300 on the table and let the two of them fight it out between themselves.
That's the machlokas between the Tanakama and Rabbi Yossi. The Tanakama says that we know that each of them own at least $100, so we'll allow each of them to take $100 out of that pot. But you're exactly right. You're exactly right that from a theoretical perspective, all I'm doing is putting the $300 in the middle and letting them argue about it. According to the Tanakama, we'll let them argue about only the $100 that is the crux of the argument. And according to Rabbi Yossi, we say, no, they have to argue about the whole $300 because we don't want the liar to effectively not lose anything. So that's exactly right. You're 100% right. Okay, so let's go. So Varami Gazala Gezelta, now we have the case of the stolen property, Katani Hacha. So we said it was, so we have our Mishnah, where we said Amr l'shnayim gazalti le'echad mikem umana be'ena yodea ezu mikem, and we said aviv shel echad mikem hifkin man li'mana be'ena yodea ezu notin lazeh mana v'lazeh mana. I have to end up giving both of the victims the $100. Uraminu. But 1 second, we have a case. We have to remember all the way back to Maseches Yevamos, where we saw the following Mishnah. Guzzle echad michamisha. If somebody stole from one of five people, and he doesn't know which one he stole from. All right, and ze omer oti gazal, ze omer oti gazal, and every one of the five people says I know that he stole from me. So mania gazela beineim umistalik. The thief can put them $100 in the middle and go away. Divrei Rabbi Tarfon. That's what Rabbi Tarfon says. So Alma, what do we see from the second case? Misfeka lo mavkina mamona. I don't have to give. I'll be the thief in both cases. So in the first case, I have to give both Stan and Mark $100. But in the second case, now we've got Stan, Mark, Charlie, Ken, and Moshe, and I don't have to give. And I don't have to give each of you $100. Each of you $100. I don't have to pay $500. I just put $100 in the middle, and I say, let you five fight it out. So that shows that we don't take money out of doubt. We put it, we keep it where it is. So must need into Rabbi Tarfonu. What second? And so that was the Rabbi Tarfon. The Mishnah, the position in that Mishnah in Yevamos was the position of Rabbi Tarfon. So how do I know that that our Mishnah is also like Rabbi Tarfon? Maybe Rabbi Tarfon disagrees. So the answer is we got a brisa. We got a brisa over there at that Mishnah in connection with Yevamos. Modi Rabbi Tarfon, but Omer l'shnayim gazalti le'echamikem ve'eni yodea ezemikem shenotin l'zemana v'l'zemana. We have a brisa that explicitly says that in the case of our Mishnah, where I say to two people, I don't know from whom I stole from you, from which of you I stole, that I have to pay you both. So how can we make that consistent? How is that consistent, Rabbi Tarfon consistent? So we're going to explain. So in that case, we're dealing with five people who claim to have been stolen. But here, nobody's making a claim. Rather, I am trying to obtain forgiveness from God. I want to be whole with God. And so as a result, to fulfill my obligation to Hashem, so then I have to give each of the people $100 to take Ganami. And indeed, you can see in the words this fact. What did we say in our Mishnah? We said that it was he himself admitted it. So Shema Mina, that shows that the case in our Mishnah is, and thereby the case in that brisa, are talking about where the thief is trying to voluntarily seek forgiveness. So Amar Mar Hasam de Katabe Le the Halamat Toain. one second. So Hasam the Katabile, so Vahala Mato, Vahala Matoing. So 1 second. When it came to our Mishnah, we said that they were claiming the money. So here, what is in our Mishnah, right? In the Mishnah over there in Yevamos, all 5 of the people were saying that they were the ones who were stolen from. Vahala Matoing. But in our Mishnah, what was it that each of them were claiming? So Rabbi Yehuda Amar Rab Hala Shosek. Here they were all quiet. Masna Amar Rab Hala Tzobeya. And Rav Masna says in the name of Rab. So Rabbi Yehuda said in the name of Rab that everybody was quiet; they didn't know. And Rav Masna said in the name of Rab that oh, I apologize. I'm reading this wrong. It's not. This is all in the Mishnah over there in Yevamos. My apologies. Let's go over this Gemara again. So again, we are on second to last line on Lamed Zayin Amud Aleph. Amar Mar, middle of the line. Amar Mar Hasam de Katabele. So over there in the Mishnah in Yevamos, all of the people were claiming from the thief. Vahala Matoin. What does the thief say in response? Right. So the thief is he saying, yes, I owe you, or what is he saying? So so Rabbi Yehuda Amar Halashosik, he was quiet, he didn't know what to say. Rav Masna Amar, Rav Masna said no, as he turned to Lamed Zayin Amabet, so Ve'ach, he was crying out. So what was he crying out? So Rashi tells us, Amar L'Kol Echad Eini Makirka, I don't recognize you. Oh, I wish that I recognized you. I wish I knew who of you I owed. But the point is according to both opinions, we don't. The thief is not helpful in determining which of the 5 he had stolen from. So Manda Amar Halatzoveach, the person who says that he cried out, Aval Shatika Kota, if he had been quiet, then it would effectively be like he admitted that he stole from each of them, and so therefore he would owe each of them $100. Umanda Hamar Halashosik, and according to the one who says that he was quiet, Shtika Dahacha Lav that ordinarily we say that Shtika Koda, that being quiet is like you admit something, but in this case we won't say that. Because why? Matzi Amarlai, because the thief could say, the fact that I was quiet with every one of them, Da'amina Dilma Haihu, because I wasn't sure. It wasn't that I was admitting that I stole it from this person. They were all coming to me. It was so stressful. I couldn't understand. I didn't know how to respond because so many people were claiming, and clearly only one of them was right. So that is that. So now we're going to ask the question about the Mishnah in Yevamos. So
when a person says, if he screams out, he says, I don't know, then were you saying that he has to pay all of them?
No, this is the case in Yevamos. He puts the $100 in the middle and he walks away.
Oh, so he doesn't have to pay all of them.
No. Correct. Now, if in fact, according to the person who says that he cried out, he was actually silent, then according to that opinion, according to, again, at the bottom of Lamed Zayin Amud Aleph, according to Rav Yehuda in the name of Rav, who says that he cried out, according to Rav Masna in the name of Rav, who says that he cried out, then if he had been silent, he would owe everybody, because we would say Shtika Kohoda, that it was as if he admitted to each of them that he owed them $100.
But how could that be? If he stole $100, he stole $100. He didn't steal $500.
No, you have to understand that if it's Shtika Kohoda, he's admitting that he stole $500. And only now is he claiming, according to this Shtika Kohoda opinion, no, you were telling the truth then, you're lying now, right? You're a thief. We're not going to trust you. If you admit that you owed the $100, you can't come back later and say you didn't owe the $100. So
$100, but not $500.
$100 to each of them. So he owes $500. He was quiet. If I come to you and I say you owe me $100 and you say nothing, and 10 minutes goes by and you don't deny anything, and Moshe and Charlie see that you've said nothing, absolutely, I can go now to Beis Din and say, listen, I told Ken he owes me $100. Charlie and Moshe were my witnesses. You didn't say anything. You admit it.
And then you're saying the other
And
four
then you'd
people
owe me
said-
$100.
And the other four people said the same thing?
And then other four people said the exact same thing. Exactly. And
Well,
now only when they get to court, the thief is saying, "Oh, I didn't mean it. I didn't mean it." So now that's the debate. That's the debate between Rav Matna and Rav Yehuda in the name of Rav. Both of them are saying that Rav said one way or the other way. But so but the bottom line
But
is,
if the truth is, and maybe we don't know the truth, but if
we
the
of course
truth
we don't
is-
know the truth. If we knew the truth, then we
I
would.
know, I understand it, but if the truth is that he stole only $100, and four of those people are lying.
Yes, four of those people may be lying, but we don't know the truth. So we have to go based on what we do know. And we know that that the thief was quiet in connection with all four of them. So as a result, again, according to Rav Matna, who says that the thief needs to cry out, then if he had been quiet, we would say that we're going to go under the assumption that the thief was honest in his quieting and his being quiet, and his silence is an indication of admission, and therefore he owes all 500, and that's what the real facts are. Okay, so Amar Mar, we got to go continue. So Amar Mar, so now again in this Mishnah in Yevamos, where Rabbi Tarfon says, the person puts the $100 in the middle and goes away. With shakle kol la kulo azle. 1 second. That implies that one of them is going to take the object and run away with it. So they're basically the five of them are going to fight over it. And it's not it appears to be left out in the public, and let them argue it. And so one of them is going to grab it. It's like the game where you have to run to the middle, grab the object, and get back to the edge of your seat before the other person tags you. So whoever happens to do that is going to get it. That's what it seems like. But 1 second, Rabbi Abba Bar Zavda Amarav Kol Safek Hinuach. Anytime that you put any kind of uncertainty, you put it aside. L'chatchila lo yitol. But if l'chatchila, you shouldn't take it. If you're unsure about whether something was left and is lost, you should never take it in the first place. But ve'imnato lo yakser. But if you do take it, you have no right to put it back, and you have no right to give it to any claimant. So how can we say in that Mishnah that Rabbi Tarfon says you put the money in the middle? That doesn't seem consistent with Rabbi Abba Bar Zabda. So I'm a Rav Safra the Aniach. You actually, when you said he places it, Rashi helps explain. We're out of time, so we're not going to go through the Rashi inside. But Rashi says he places it. It doesn't mean that he withdraws completely. It means that he goes to court and he tells the court, "I don't know who gets it. So we need you, the court, to decide and let them litigate." But in fact, he is going to continue to hold the item. So even though it says v'aniach, it doesn't mean that the thief in that situation, and Yevamos, actually leaves it. Rather, he's going to hold on to it until Eliyahu comes or until the court tells him who to give it to. So Amar le Abaye l'Rava, mi Amar Rabbi Akiva. Now, in that Mishnah, in Yevamos, there's a statement where Rabbi Akiva disagrees with Rabbi Tarfon. We just haven't read it yet. And so now we're going to say it. Lozu haderach motziaso midei avera. That Rabbi Akiva says that's not the way to get out of having sinned by leaving the $100 in the middle and letting them fight about it. Ad sheyashlema gazela l'chol chad b'chad. The thief needs to pay each and every one of them. Alma misfeka mapkina mamona. So in second, this seems to show that Rabbi Akiva says that we take money away from the thief in a case of doubt. And we don't say that the money stays where it is. Uraminu nafal abayas alava al imo. But 1 second, we have another case where a house collapsed on the mother and a son. The Yorshea ben Omrim, the son's inheritors say, the mother died first because we want the mother to have died first, so the son will have inherited everything of the mother. And so as a result, when now the son died second, we're going to inherit everything that belonged to both the mother and the son. The Yorshea Omrim Haben Mesrishon. And the mother's heirs say, no, the son died first. And because the son died first, so you, the heirs of the son, get everything that the son is supposed to inherit. The son's heirs are supposed to inherit. But we, the heirs of the mother, right? We want to get what she gets, because now there's no son left, so the son isn't going to inherit. So as a result, we should get that piece. So Elu ve'elu, modim shiach loku. Both Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel agree that we divide, but Amar Rabbi Akiva, but Rabbi Akiva says, Mode ani bezu. I disagree with with Rabbi Beis Hillel and Beis Shammai, and I say that in this case, that actually we leave everything in its place where it is. Meaning we're going to allow, they're going to fight it out. They got to bring proof. And until they bring proof, we're not going to give it to anybody. So in second, that's completely different. Now, note, we could have answered, well, the case of the thief is a case of a thief, but we don't answer that. So Amar Le, Hasam Shema V'Shema, that the case in where the house fell down, it's two people claiming maybe, because neither of them really know about what happened. But Gazal Echad Mechamisha Bari V'Shema. But when you stole from one of five people, each of the five people is certain that they're the one who's the victim, and you, the thief, are uncertain, so you have to pay each of them. Bari V'Shema, Bari Adif is what we say often. V'Hamas Nisan Dahacha. Well, 1 second, what about our Mishnah? Amar L'Shnayim Gazalti Le'echad Mikem Mana. I stole $100 from one of you. D'Shema V'Shemahu. That's a case of maybe and maybe, because the person who's the victim doesn't make any kind of claim. The person who's the victim doesn't know, as we'll see in a moment. The Katani knows and yet we give to each of them $100. We might do Rabbi Akiva. Well, 1 second, how do you know that Rabbi Akiva agrees in that case? The Katani Allah dahi mo the Rabbi Tarfon. But that we know that Rabbi Akiva agrees because we had in that brisa way back when that we learned earlier today that Rabbi Tarfon agrees. And what did it mean that Rabbi Tarfon agreed? But Omer L'Shnayim, he agreed that when you say to two people, etc. So Lamad Moda, to whom was he agreeing? Rabbi Akiva, Bar Palugte. He was agreeing with Rabbi Akiva, the person with whom he argues. So as a result, Umimai de Shema V'Shema. Well, in second, how do I know that that case is a Shema V'Shema? Well, one is because we don't hear that either of the victims had made a claim against the thief. V'od Hatani Rabbi Chia, and moreover, we have Rabbi Chia teaching in connection with the brisa where Rabbi Tarfon is admits to this halacha. In that brisa, Rabbi Chia specifically says that the two victims say, "I don't know what happened." So Kimnala let's say it's Yudei Shemayim. So the answer is that in our Mishnah, yes, in a case of Bari V'Shema, you would the thief would need to pay all the people who are making definitive claims. But in a case of Shema V'Shema, the halacha would be that he could just leave the $100 and he doesn't have to pay anybody. If I'm unsure whether I stole from Stan or stole from Mark, I could just leave the $100 and Stan and Mark can argue it out. But if I want to fulfill my obligation to Hashem and really do the tshuva for having stolen, then I need to give to Stan and I need to give to Mark because I'm not sure which one of them. And so if I'm fulfilling my heavenly obligation, that is why there's no inconsistency among Rabbi Akiva's opinions. So Amar le Ravina le Ravashi. So Ravina says to Ravashi, Umi Amar Rava. So now we're going to go all the way back. So the Gemara goes all the way back to Rava's explanation that the first two watcher cases from our Mishnah were not inconsistent because the first case involved the people coming with bundles at different times. So the watcher was responsible for knowing which was which. And the second case involved the people coming together. So the watcher was not responsible for knowing which was which. So now Ravina asks on that. Amar le Ravina le Ravashi, Umi Amar Rava, Kol Bishtei Krichos, Havale Lameidak. 1 second. Is it really true that if people come at different times, the person who's watching needs to pay attention and know how much each one gave? Bahama Rava, we have a case that Rava said, the Item Rav Papa, and some people say it was Rav Papa, but whatever they said, the key is the following language. Hakol Modim, everybody agrees, meaning that everybody agrees. If two people leave something with a shepherd, then in that case, if one of them left, and Rashi again explains, but we ran out of time, if one of them left one sheep and the other left two sheep, and now they both claim that they were left two sheep. So as a result, now there are three sheep, and we don't know who's supposed to get them. So the shepherd can leave the sheep and go on his own. But 1 second, and I'm the shepherd. So how can I do that? Rava just told me that if Stan as shepherd number 1 leaves me 1 sheep and Mark as shepherd number 2 leaves me 2 sheep, I have to remember which of them left me. So now in this case where you came at different times, why am I allowed to put it in the middle? I should have to give you both 2 sheep because you gave me, I'm responsible. So Amrle, Rav Ashi explained to Ravina, Hasam Kishahifkidu the Edro Shalroa Shalomi Daito. That case of people leaving with the shepherd, the sheep, it was a case in which the shepherd was never told. It was just the shepherd has 1,000 sheep. He's not going to pay attention if Stan comes and adds 2 sheep and Mark adds 1 sheep or vice versa. So as a result, that's why in that case he just knows, oh, I see that this sheep doesn't belong to me. He's not going to know who it belongs to, and he's going to be allowed to leave it in the middle. So, all right, so that's the end of that. So now we're going to we've now gone through the first 2 teachings of our Mishnah, and now we're ready to turn to the final case where the watcher was given something that a vessel that was worth $100 and a vessel that was worth $1,000, and now both people who left him the vessels say that they were left the $1,000 one. So what is he supposed to do in that case? And moreover, why is that case even any different from case number 2 in our Mishnah? Case number 2 was one of them left $100 and one left $200. Why do you need to teach both of them? So for that important question of why do you need actually both of them, you'll have to stay tuned for tomorrow's daf. I wish you a Shabbat Shalom. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.
Well, one is money and one is an object.
Yes, well, that could very well be the answer, but we'll find out what the Gemara says the answer is, God willing, tomorrow. Looking forward. I believe Motzi Shabbos was already recorded. So there isn't going to be a formal daf either on Shabbos during the day or on Motzi Shabbos, but it will be posted. It may have been posted today. I didn't look closely in the email from the shul, but it will be posted by the shul, and God willing, the next daf. So we're on Lamed Zion. Tomorrow's Lamed Chet. So Lamed Tet will be taught by Eli, God willing, on Sunday. So keep an eye out.
What time Sunday?
That's where I was going next. Keep an eye on the WhatsApp.
You're correct. You're correct.
Shabbat Shalom.
It's already on YouTube. It's already on YouTube. I just checked now.
You already checked on. So Lamed Chet is already on YouTube. So the question is when are we learning on Sunday? For that, you'll have to check the WhatsApp group. Usually it's 7:45 a.m., but sometimes it ends up being in the evening. Have a wonderful day and a wonderful Shabbos. Looking forward to continuing our learning together. Be well.